Some say it's all about 1925 and beyond. The podcast. KC 100 year celebration with Pete A. Kennedy and Marlon A. Kennedy.
Welcome. It's the 1925 and Beyond podcast. I am your host, Pete A. Kennedy. I'm here again with my co-host, Big Brother Marlon A. Kennedy, and another special guest is with us today. As you know, I won't spill the beans, but we got to share credit. So I went to Kingston College between the years of 1992 and 1995. Played 93 for 94 Colts, had one championship. I want to mention this now. And then 95 played Manning Cup and then moved on from there. But again, it is not about me. It's about our guest. Let's get on to my big brother, Marlon.
All right, thank you, Pete. Welcome everybody to another episode of 1925 and Beyond. When I too went to KC, 86 to 93. I played the better sport. I played cricket, and I was more successful than Pete at his sport.
It just could have been the football side, man.
Throwing that out there. One of the things we must add when it comes to the podcast is that we select our guests based on a number of criteria. And one, apart from those who are well-known, persons well-known at KC and persons who did well after their time at KC, there are some of our Fortis brothers out there that work behind the scenes and do a lot of work. And they are near and dear to us. To my brother and myself in different ways. So our guest today is also another special guest, a past president of one of the chapters, but also a very good friend and brother, Fortis brother of Pete. So it's my pleasure to welcome our guest today, I see you have R. Perry Bloomfield, but everybody know you as Perry.
Perry, that's so right. Welcome.
Thank you for joining us, Perry. And before we start, if we could know what the R stand for.
Yes, man. Greetings, brethren. It's important that I put the R because the real name is Rainford Bloomfield. But as it is, as you guys would know in Jamaica, it's like from your born, mommy call you Perry, and some uncle did put the name on and the name stick. So everybody called me Perry. So we lean in upon that. But if you need to write the check, you're going to have to put the Rainford.
but outside of that, doing a Perry, people will say Rainford, a big man name still, and then a big man named Rainford, man with status.
Yes.
Name Rainford,
Yes. So I have to work on the status.
Well, thank you for joining us, Perry. I appreciate it. So we want to start off in true fashion of the podcast for us to tell us your story, and we always ask that our guests tell us about, their time before KC, where you grew up, your siblings, what was that life like, briefly, and then it does transition into your time at KC, where you got there and all of that.
Wow, so loaded question there, party, but let's highlight it then. So, went to Denhamtown Primary, and we'll stop it at Denhamtown Primary because there was a couple primary school in between. After, you have to relocate here and you relocate there. But born to Avril Clark and Ronald Bloomfield, my dad. 2 Mile Bennettland back in the days, right? Mm-hmm. Right, back in the days, 2 Mile Bennettland, and it's the politics and everything that's associated with that. And I remember us having to move out by that time. Grandma who work at Butter Shoe Company, God bless our soul. Grandma who work at Butter Shoe Company since closed down. Bought land in Makukspen and built a house, but it wasn't even ready yet when we had to
move in.
Spot, because Bennettland get hot with election and you hear gunshot a lick on the zinc fence them because it was zinc fence create the lane, if you will. So we moved out, went back to Western Kingston and did back to Denhamtown, did common entrance. That was the biggest year of common entrance passes from Western Kingston.
Nice.
With literally it was a record number of students passing for not just high schools, but the traditionals that was hard to reach. Before then, most of the now high schools were some of them are comprehensive high
Comprehensive,
school.
yep.
Technical
About
and
6
such,
or 7 of us passed for Kingston College that year. And it was a big year, big year. And Western Kingston, I would say, won't forget because Edward Seago at the time basically congratulated all the
Wow.
passing the passing record in terms of the amount of students by sending us all to it was the first for many of us, right? We took Air Jamaica to Montego Bay.
What?
We had excursion buses pick us up at the airport. We stayed at major hotels along the North Coast. I think I stayed at Casa Montego Hotel. It was
Yes.
called at the time. You spend a weekend as kids passing common entrance, and yeah, you got back in on the excursion bus. You did stops at Green Grotto Cave and other tourist type attractions along the way. First major experience,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
proud to talk about that. I remember when he passed, and I had to post that on my Facebook page, say Western Kingston remembers, because that was a big deal for us as kids, and you don't forget that.
Yeah, of course.
And
On the
when
plane? Oh,
yeah, man.
yes.
So exactly, I take plane for the first
Yeah.
time. This man, the real thing. So, but yeah, and that September was powerful. With that passing for KC and everything that happened after that was just life changing.
Good
Life
to
changing, Virgin.
good to
My
hear
mom,
that.
yeah. So as the blessings would flow, for somebody like me with a praying grandmother.
Yeah.
When we passed for KC, my mom got a decent enough job relative to what she's always had to pick up here and there to do at the National Biscuit Company. And she started through a partner. So that's how the first school fee
Yeah.
paid. I remember school
Yeah.
fee, was it like $600 if I remember correctly? And school fee after pay, but we got into KC and everything changed. Everything changed, brethren.
Before you move on as well there, Perry, so within your family as well, how many brothers and sisters you have? Where you fall in the lineup? You're the only child?
Well, only child from my mom, but
Okay.
really I'm the only one. I'm the only one to go to KC. I'm the male in the family at the time. So yeah,
Got it.
All
Got
right.
I'm the first one and the only one.
it.
All right. All
And
right.
I understand I
Yeah.
have a nephew going there now, but yeah. But so yes, man. So we started at KC and I remember it like it was yesterday. 7 Gibson, and I remember the first pavilion after
Which year?
1983.
Okay.
So I did KC 1983 to 1990, including sixth form. So first form, first year, maybe the same September, we had Pavilion and Peter Miller. He was the choir director at the time.
Yeah.
I remember him coming to the at the end of Pavilion of service. He would say, anybody interested in the choir, and they promote the greatness of the choir. And I had started singing with the Denham Town Primary School Choir.
Okay.
By the way, I was part, to back up a little bit, I was part of that mass choir that Jamaica did when the Queen came to Jamaica, that song at the National Stadium.
But Perry, you go bad for your little boy, man. Eh? That's good.
So I was part of that mass choir, Denham Town Choir. That's where it
Yeah.
started. And I understand too that Denham Town is now Edward Seago Primary School, for the record, guys. But you'll hear me say Denham Town all the
Yeah,
time.
man.
So we did. So it was natural that when Peter Miller invited us down, I went down and you did your la 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 la, and you go up with your note and made the choir. So I started out
And Perry,
from.
not to cut you. A man,
Perry.
him go to the choir rehearsal, and them go la 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 la, him go exit. So
Hey,
that's a share the
so-
stories, everybody's story different.
Listen, Perry, some man say them come KC and I feel them mind them a legend, them a big ball, a big cricketer, a big singer. And when them turn up and say Pepsi training and say choir practice, I realize
Top thing.
them
You have to
already
make the cut. You have to make the cut.
yet.
Don't care about
So I'm
to
happy
make
to
the
hear
cut.
that,
Okay,
Perry. I'm
man.
happy to hear
Yes.
that.
Yes, man. So and we love the choir so much so that to spring forward, since we're talking about the choir, I'm currently part of the Kingston College Chapel Choir committee that's responsible
Yes.
for,
Yes.
you know, promoting and supporting the choir and its efforts. So, but yeah, so join the choir, spend the next 3 years as a, you know, as a member of as a chorister of the Kingston College Chapel Choir, good years. And then as it turns out, but I was studying so then right after ninth grade, your voice started to change. I remember some nicknames like Shaggy in particular. We were in choir practice, and I haven't seen Shaggy in a minute. I hope
I
he's
think the
watching this
technical
and he
term,
can reach
Perry,
out.
the technical term is called puberty.
Yes, that must be it because the voice started to change, and you lose sight of how to make the notes, you know, and you're cracking up. And
Bass
I
come in.
remember Peter Miller would say, you know, you still come to practice, but then you find other things to the right. I was in the vestry going through music notes. I was turning the piano pages. And one September again, and by the way, you're going to realize the story jumped back and forth to make connections because one summer we were there, you know, you're not singing and you're in the choir. So we remember wandering off. Now you only go to the North Street campus because of the choir practice on a Saturday, because we're at Melbourne, as you know. So that Saturday we wandered off and went down to the basketball court. And of course, I took up the ball, made two layup, did a jump shot, and coach saw me and said, "Wait a minute, you know to play basketball? You've been introduced to basketball before?" I said, "Yeah." Turns out another Denham Town story. When we were at Denham Town, and I don't remember his name. A coach came to Denham Town and introduced basketball, and we learned basketball down at Bumps in Tivoli Gardens. So we learned the layup and the basics at primary school students. So when coach saw me make the layup, you know, he figured, hey, you should come to practice. Went to practice. Choir didn't see me again. So I know I'm a basketballer.
But Perry, I'm quite sure.
Pages.
No, but I'm quite sure me never hear the choir master ask you either.
I get it.
Yeah,
Your voice change.
You don't know what the vice did. The vice did all over the place. You know what I'm saying? But listen, and there's an overlap there because that third farm year too, I went out for the cadet. So I did a solid year in the cadet, everything from inspection practice to doing inspection and doing just a full solid year participating fully with everything that the cadet would do. But I only did that for 1 year. A buddy of mine, Stanford Brown, I remember we in cadet drill. I don't remember if it was the full inspection where you're bringing the lieutenants and everybody. But listen, man, I saw he's standing beside me and he started to sway with the wind. And brethren, it's not even a laughing matter, but we're making jokes, right? The brethren literally started to sway with the wind and then he just went straight face forward. Hand at his side, the same. And it was one of those days, I don't know if that's part of why I didn't continue in the choir, in the cadet. But that's just one story that I remember that stuck out. He was okay, thank God.
Let me tell you something, Perry, because I served in the JDF. So so what you're saying is nothing new. When you're on parade, them say everything must look like a drill, even when you're fainting. So that is what the man did. He fainted with his hands by his side and go straight on him face. Good thing, hopefully does that him not break no bone in his face, he not break no nose or none. But yes,
sir.
Army, man. Drop like a drill.
So it's funny, I don't forget that name, but so I had to squeeze in cadet because that was another so basically from day one at Kingston College, I was not just going into class and learning and doing the academic element that is the primary, but I was always wearing KC colors representing the school. And I somehow, even at that time, I never really, you know, some people try out and then quit. I was never that guy. It's always I either leave something and do something else at the end. Because I think that choir year, I finished out the year. I remember that last year choir concert. was it St. Luke's Church? There was this church right below Carib Theater. And I remember being there
Yes, St.
flipping
Luke's.
pages next to Peter Miller at the piano, flipping the pages as he would, because you couldn't even read music, brethren.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the powerful thing about the choir. People don't
Mm-hmm.
even realize. But if you know people like Frankie from what's the group called again, brethren? Save me. Um,
Fab
Frankie
Five.
from Fab Five,
Yeah.
he was choir man as well. So the music is real. You learn the music, you learn to read the note. But that year, I remember it looked like I caught a couple good notes because after you turn the page, you stand on your face
Mm-hmm.
forward again, and you can't stand up there and now move your mouth.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
remember Peter. I remember the choir master give me two nods. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
it's probably
Yeah.
coming in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nevertheless, we finished out the year and then we started focusing on basketball.
Basketball.
And then basketball just took things to a whole other level, right? My coach, Keith Daly, coach Winston Harvey was the first coach because I was right there at the cusp of 16, but couldn't play under 16
Yeah.
anymore
Yeah.
because of the month, right?
Mm-hmm.
So couldn't play that B team with Smiley. They call Keith Daly Smiley.
Yep.
So you
Remember
might hear
that?
me say
Yep.
Smiley.
Mm-hmm.
So I played a team with some seniors, man like Lenford, Lenroy, and a bunch of others, Peanuts and big names at the time. And you look up to these guys. And with that year, we won the knockout. We lost the league by 1 point to Calabar,
Wow.
International Arena. That
Wow.
hurt
Yeah.
like double
Yeah.
hurt. Following year, not married, following year, Smiley um, took over the program. I think, yeah, Smiley took over the program, and 88 we won everything basketball in Jamaica, and 89 and 90, and even after I left, people like Andrew Boland,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
basically, the Arden start studied team that came 91 thinking it was theirs to win. And, I was on the side with Andrew Boland taking it to them. So basketball became the thing. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that Kingston College team that played 1988, the entire starting five and maybe one or two others was called for the national program.
Wow.
So
But the senior
your little
team.
brethren Perry, who it was mostly hard work was my thing, because
Mm-hmm.
there's no brilliance in skill set like a Garfield Richards, my captain, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was no discipline or hard work focus like a Roger Marshall, right? But you train hard. People like
Yeah.
Roderick
Yeah.
Ellis, one of my bona fides in Atlanta, Georgia, right now. Sometimes we get in some mess with just playing around in practice, and coach, I'll send you home, brethren. Yeah, man. But here's a story for you. I remember one year, and funny story, funny how these things work when you have these stories where speak to you and cause intentionality going
Yeah.
forward. I remember getting kicked out of practice, Mayor Ellis. Um, and I tell him this story to date, and it doesn't resonate as well for him.
Yeah.
But we got kicked out and we left. Normally you hang around practice to
Yeah.
make practice. But sometimes you even get back in a practice because you're
Yeah. Yeah.
going you're going to run some game now. You need to make up numbers and you might get called back in. No, this day we just so vexed. We left. And I remember us committing that, listen, we are gonna go back and we're gonna go hard. And me used to blame asthma for why I can't do certain things. But now, me I go hard, and if me drop them, a coach have to go figure it out. A coach we are spite now.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, we have a spite coach,
Yeah.
because me I
That's
go
right.
do
Yeah.
it, and me I
Mm-hmm.
go hard, and me
Yeah.
no business if me drop them, because me the nurse the asthma.
Mm.
We go back, we bust our ass, as them say. We make start, we're upon the starting five, we're back in good grace, and we are win, and there's no asthma. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the year after we win everything, brethren, we went back, and that summer we were just walking around like the greatest thing, because basketball was emerging in a Jamaica
Not them
and
times,
just
yes. Mm-hmm.
becoming a big thing. And so you touch the National Stadium, and brethren, coach go here, so we are profile is the language me I gonna use for today. But brethren, we got practice. And the man said, hold on. So on a win one time, on a win, and that wasn't one time. We never won everything before, but we win, and then coach brethren, the man drilled us. The man say you don't want to sit on your laurels, you will rust on it. And you're out there showing off. That means you're setting up the enemy for come even harder at you. You need, and this is what my coach, your coach one, him know, Keith Daly, probably watching this one day, the levels of influence for a male figure. Because you notice we talk about Precious the whole time. That's my mother, by the way, Precious. I will tell you about how she part. It was always about Precious and Grandma, right? So you have a coach in your life now and instill principle and raise you up and hold you to account. And brethren, the man, one of the main things we take away from that, from coaching with him, is people say we show off and all of that. The broader KC mindset, right? But this man tell you about what we call a quiet conceit. Him say, nah, it's sound enough to feel good about the success, but you need to have a quiet conceit. It only displays itself on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
You understand what I say?
Yeah.
But
Numbers.
It's a quiet conceit because
Action
you must
talk.
show.
Yes.
It's a quiet conceit because you must show up knowing say you got this. Because you prepare for it. And you must believe in yourself, but you show it off to people. Show it on the scoreboard.
Yes.
Brethren, and lessons like that even stay with you to present time. This man never used to take no excuses. My draw for my asthma pump, it no matter. So, and many of them know my asthma pump, they know. You understand what I'm saying? So you put in the time, and one of the most powerful story with basketball too is to start basketball practice. You have to get down on time, warm up, and run 10 laps.
Run your laps.
You must know about the 10 laps.
Yes, man. Gonna sooner do it, man. Yes, man.
I talk about the one them round the extreme, up the Hardy House stairs and down, up the Sixth Farm block and down, up this side, up the business block and down, up the pavilion and down, behind
round
the
canteen,
nursery, behind the pool, and back to the basketball court, 1 lap. And coach tell if you do 10, I say, yeah, joke. Me have asthma, that not work. But yeah, but you, my captain at the time, Garfield Richards, them man they just set out and him just steady. And him lap everybody all 2-3 times and it ne phase him. And one day me decide for it warm up and go out with him. And the man tell me him strategy while we are doing it. And me didn't even reach when me reach lap 9, because we wouldn't even run the first one, Me I walk, no 5 stairs, them and all of that. But Garfield Richards, another story where me tell all him, and the final lap where I go around and see when him see somebody in front of him, even though him lap that person already know. The idea that this person is in front of him is unacceptable. So he might pass him just because they're in front of him. Even one lap behind him, That was the kind of mentality the guys them where I work with have, right? So you go around the last lap now and tell you, say, all right, you go, whatever you have left, you go let it out with 200 meters to go, 150 meters to go. And brethren, me kick with the man, and me actually finish before him. Me not gonna say me beat him, because him do it all the time. It's my first time. And me finish before the man, is like, hold on. So my asthma thing and my pump thing now keep.
No excuses.
Nah, keep. You understand me? I say, yeah, excuses, brethren. So, even from them times there, you'll start realize, say, yo, you just need to take on the motto at a level, because Mr. Fortis mean excellence and never yield, understand, say, you go hard. And if you step out right and you go hard, it's either you go win or you go learn from it.
Yep. Yep.
And that formed the basis of everything, brethren, including the crazy subject when named maths. What me used to tell myself, just like asthma, me tell myself,
Yep.
say maths hard, and yeah. And brethren, me remember failing maths the first time, and fail was a 3, what them never acknowledge. They not like me get a 5, but it never credit that it wasn't credited at the time for get a 3, which is pass. You have to get 1 or 2. But brethren, the following year, I remember treating maths like
They're running.
the way how me get run out of basketball practice.
Yeah.
The way our coach tell me say, the way I tell the coach say me can't manage the drill. And me take on maths. And brethren, when me pass maths, me like, sweet, that was it?
Yeah.
You understand what I say?
All along.
Now fast forward to college. I come to college and find myself in the maths department, sitting across the desk of the head of the maths department at York College, talking about careers in mathematics. Me,
Oi.
actuarial science and all these things. I'm
Oi.
like,
Hold on.
me never understand it.
Hold on, Perry, because you have a knack for say you go back and forth. So before we reach this up, tell me how you wrap up KC part now, because you tell me about the transition from prior to basketball and a little piece of cadete tech. So what happened? You did basketball for the rest of your years.
Yes, man. Did basketball. So 4 years of basketball. And won the last, won 88, who won everything. 90 would probably win the league and lose the knockout. 87 would probably won the senior team knockout and lost the league. That's the one we lose the 1 point to Calabar.
Yeah.
And some of those guys, I told you we made it to national. We call up to the national team. I would still have some good friends from even Calabar, people like Polak and them guys, right? Because now you come together as a national team,
as a national,
you had to work together. But for the first time now, you come into the United States to represent Jamaica in the black, green, and gold, and that take on a whole other dimension, right? The idea was that we come to get exposure. That was the first time I left not the first time I left the country. KC team had gone to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba to play ball before. So you see, can't give you all of the highlights, not where I come out.
That's all right. That's all right.
Man, that's good.
Yeah.
But when the KC team was doing well, we also played high school, we entered into a high school league in, or maybe we went for the weekend and we played their top teams at Guantanamo Bay. But yeah, came to Syracuse, New York to represent Jamaica, 1988, after winning everything in Jamaica. And that was quite the experience, Bridget.
Nice.
I remember we played a team called Syracuse All-Star, and you wasn't sure if you play defense or watch the man then pass it and dunk it.
Yeah.
It was quite the experience. It was one of those experiences designed for me to say, you know what?
There's another level to this.
I come where I come.
Yeah.
That was powerful, but that just opened up tremendous possibilities and the mindset start to change along the way, right? So that's kind of how we wrap up KC sixth form. I was there when we got the first 6 computers. They were Macs. So that's probably a good point to make right now, that in sixth form we got donated, 6 computers got donated to the school, Macs. And I remember one of my buddy, I think Artis Evans, took to it, and he's now still in IT. I'm in IT, but at the time there was just a blinking cursor on the screen. There's only 6 of them. As 6 farmers, you get to use it, but it's only 6 of them, and you'll have a blinking cursor, and it's like you either get with that or there's a basketball court down there. So you're right. But I must say this though. Back up to Kingston College, the early days. Some of the relationships will come out of just attending Kingston College and the brotherhood that is formed with your fellow Fortis who walk the Holodogs brethren. I remember going to school, living in Makuxpen at the time with grandma. And I remember waiting on the bus. Brethren, you need to be at the bus stop before sunset. If you start to the sun peeping out, you're late for school.
Yep.
Even if you catch the bus that time, you're going to be late. It
Before
needs to be
sunrise.
dark. You get the bus stop when it's dark.
Yeah,
Like
man.
5 a.m., 4:30, you're leaving out the house to walk to the bus stop. And one morning, sunrise, normally late, and I'm just standing there off from the crowd with my hand out like, I need to go to school, first form. And I see this Nissan Bluebird slow down, and then it stopped. I'm like, hold on. Me don't know nobody will drive Bashman car.
Yeah.
Me don't know nobody will have no car.
Yeah.
My father have a truck. Right? So I'm like, anyway, you know, we talk about black art man in Jamaica, right? And you know, so you know, right?
Yeah.
So, Reggie,
Yeah.
when you see the car pull up, when I see the car stop, and it's like me, I look like me, don't know nobody in them bash, and everybody, you know, better put this in a Jamaica context, everybody have a higher color than mine.
Yeah.
I'm like, hold on a minute. Then me see somebody turn on at the back, and me see one purple and white tie.
There you
I
go.
still don't know who these people, you know,
Yeah.
but it's her.
Yeah.
And me that I run to the car, but by this time now they put the car in reverse and they're coming towards
back.
me.
Yeah.
Brethren, my brethren, Bonafide, Brandon Hay.
Yeah.
Yes, man. We in the same class, brethren.
Yeah.
So,
Pass and see you.
After that, we just go to a bus stop.
Yep.
And we can get a ride.
You know, so you just wait outside of the crowd.
Yes.
You know, so the Nissan
I pull up.
come.
Yeah.
And listen, man, that you there, and part of the KC story is some of these relationship will come from the brotherhood. Because you see, Brandon and his family, everybody, man, talk about mother, father, his brother, his sister. Spend even a summer with them, and me and him love biology. I remember, you know,
and all of that started genuinely from a ride, even though you guys were classmates.
Me run late. Just because me run late. And because I normally wouldn't be there that time.
That's correct.
Going in.
Yeah.
Because he was doing it from day one.
Yeah.
I just didn't know because I was never late yet to get a car. Cause the car.
And him not to leave out so early because him not to catch a bus. So him leave out later than you. Yes.
So that morning they told me, we'll pass here around this time, make sure you're out here. And that was that.
Yes.
That was that. But fast forward to graduation, just a relationship, everything. And I can go off on a lot of stories, and I'm starting to feel mindful of the time. And this is just your first questions, isn't it?
No, man, go on talk, man. We're good, man.
No, but go down in a part of the story, because here's what part, Perry, is this. A part of the podcast that we're getting good feedback from is a lot of people don't know these KC stories, and that is why they don't know the brotherhood. And this is the reason for us to share these journeys and stories so people can understand where KC come from. Now, understanding and being relative to it is different, but at least then we say, oh, okay, no. So share one of the story with that guy in regards to, as much as you want to say graduation. Here's why I say that, right? Because my best friend who lives in Almontown with us at the time played football with me the entire time. I mean, when you talk about my parents, they're like God to him, because back then you couldn't graduate unless you pay for your books. And for him, parents gone a foreign and him have to graduate. So my parents had to step in, right? So when we talk about that, and a matter of fact, we were texting just a few minutes before this podcast, that relationship is like, it's like, you know, when they talk about in a church, the bonds that cannot be broken, me believe in that.
Yep.
It's brotherhood. So let's hear your story in regards to that brotherhood.
Yeah, listen, there's a ton of brotherhood stories, but to stay focused with Brandon for a second, after getting picked up that morning, man, me and this youth like he's like a brother from the other side of town. Let me put it in that context. Because this matter, right? Can you talk about Precious Son from, we used to go Denham Town, Barna Bennett Land, right? Live at Western Kingston, and we right across the street, Tivoli Gardens. We used to walk through the little woodland for God Denham Town. Yeah? And you mentioned Tivoli Garden, but that's a whole other conversation we can go off on. But listen, Brandon and is Donovan, we call him actually. But another story of the right name, right? The full name. But after that, you know, every morning, you know, you get picked up, you're riding with these people, and the energy just real. And one summer, we end up deciding that we're going hang out for the summer. I literally pack up and went to his side of town. You know, decent family living. I don't want to
Yeah.
get into too much of their
Yep.
world.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
But it was an exposure to me, right?
Yeah.
This man, this brethren of mine was with mommy and daddy, husband and wife, in a home
One house. Yep.
complete, right? With the mother and the father, the helpers quarters, the extra guest room where I stayed, and you know, and you're like, okay, so this is in Jamaica too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
we spot
Mm-hmm.
me there. No, 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 nah, keep.
Yeah,
Right?
we used to
So
the single parent thing and them
Yeah.
stuff there.
yeah, none of that now keep with spot me then. Yeah, I'm borrowing my daughter, trying to sound hip because that's what my daughter would say. Maybe she would say a couple years ago, nah, keep, right?
Mm.
Uh, Brethren, we remember packing up and spending a summer with them and different world,
Mm.
different world, different world, different world. And I'm calling his name and I'm sure and he's, he knows this story.
Yeah.
Because we don't talk every year.
Yeah.
Years will go by and we don't talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I pick up the phone and call him, and it's like 3 hours. Because we just have to catch up with,
Yep.
just
From then.
Mm.
we're
Yeah.
filling the gap, and we're
Yeah.
good again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So since me understand the story kind of touching, right? And that's piece of it. We understand some parts are very sentimental. So we say that. But one of the things that Marla and I do is when we hear them, because sometimes we may not get to interview those persons, we definitely want to give a shout out and say, big up yourself, Brandon, wherever you're at. Fortis then, Fortis now, and Fortis
Fortis
forever.
forever.
And I must say, you have touched a soul here that I believe I am a I am one that gets the end fruit, right, of some of those things. I want to say, Brandon, I am one man. I can say that what you guys did in the past and the relationship and the strength, I was one of the ones who benefit from it, right? Because
Mhm.
ever since we met, you believed in my story, you believed in my thing, and if me call, I remember when the book had dropped. I'm say bury me in a New York. The amount of phone call you make for me, and me I get interviews, yeah, this and me at that. And this was somebody that I met just recent. So that's the KC brotherhood, that's the KC mantra. So I want to say thank you. And Brandon, wherever you're at, big up yourself. Perry, when we drop it, just make sure you send him the link and say, yo,
Yes,
check this
of
out.
course, of
And
course,
just
of
make sure
course.
him check it out. So love
Well,
you,
well,
Brandon.
well, well, we could easily say Brandon probably see if Perry from real school later and get some key.
You see, me don't know how it did go.
That is it.
Bridget, me don't know how it did go.
And
Because
you
my
know when you reach
grandfather,
KC later, now bag a man line up by
What?
office if get to whopping before you go to your
I
class.
tell you.
Precious now, you see, Precious have put in hard work and always have the ailments out. The migraine headache was the biggest one when me a kid. Um, but thank God for the blessings. She upstairs right now.
Yes, yes.
Able
Bless
to
our
have her
soul.
around me and she there around my little one.
Yes,
So that's just a
yes.
blessing.
Big up,
But
Mama Precious.
yes, man. But the thing about that now is true Precious always kind of sick. Means someone want to be doctor. And that was clear as day. So me, I gotta
Yes.
be doctor because I forgot
Yeah.
take care of her. Little did
Yep.
I know,
Yep.
so then probably is not a smart move for the doctor to take care of him family, right? But all of my life at KC, me I gotta be doctor because me
Yeah.
need to take care of Precious. Like she had to tell me patient number one. Me I gotta take care of Precious. Me I want to be surgeon because some of them things that will not stop. Me need to go in and
Yeah.
sort it out. Like
Fix it.
Yeah.
surgery, a
Yeah.
surgeon, me need to because me need to go in and deal with
Yeah.
what's wrong. Because me couldn't get. By the way, me struggle now to accept terms like pain management, which is where them tell her, come want things fixed. So
Yeah.
imagine a younger version of me. That's why
Yep.
surgeon was important. Come think there's something in there that cause this thing. I mean, if you go sort it out, right? So that's where me wanting to be doctor. Some of their cases, biology, chemistry, physics. You understand me? I say Miss Barber, Miss Branch. You understand me? I say
Yep.
me not gonna call the right physics teacher name because that was the harder one. Okay? But you see, I Miss Barber and
Mr.
biology, I
Bennett,
Miss
you mean
Branch.
Mikey Bennett?
Right, I
The
Miss
cadet,
Branch.
the cadet
No, me
man
know
and
the
them
current
thing.
one,
Yeah.
them, But me
Okay.
don't remember some of the ones that me teach me at the time. Remember a plumber? No. But anyway, That was the hard one. We'd
Yeah.
have to do it
Yeah.
and all of that. But biology, chemistry, especially bio with Miss Barber, and again Miss Branch. God, Miss Branch. God rest Miss Barber soul, but Miss Branch is out there. We love you, Miss Branch. Um, you love those subjects and you pass and you're ready and you think you're going to matriculate to UWI, and you see how we celebrate when, remember, one year we have 6 students who matriculate straight from QSC to UWI to study medicine. And
Yep.
but then there's the rest of us who didn't get that, right? And when you think about it, remember me tell you, oh, Precious was lucky to get that job, and then the partner we she'd have it through for be a $600 for school year. So now you find yourself in sixth form. Your younger brother now start to go to Dunoon and playing football. So now she have to send, well, we got school, guys, and the expense.
A bill up.
Yep.
So naturally speaking, as the oldest one, that's a whole other story. The oldest one, you know that. Come have to set example and me get all no balance the thing. But we're not gonna go off on that neither. But we're in sixth form and we're like, hold on a minute. This doctor thing and I look like it gonna work out. Because me need to start earn. Because the teller said she slip out her shoulder.
Yeah.
I remember I do exams and my strategy is go in early from school, go to bed, shut down, go to bed, and 10, 11 o'clock when everybody when everybody has shut down,
that's
you
when they
wake up, I'm always study right back till exam and go straight to exam, come back and crash again. That was my, to come at night, 10 for bring out the energy at night, right? But remember one night, Precious had tell me something to check the shoulder because we are, for days, we are rub it with all kind of thing, beer rum and all kind of ointment, and it still hurt her. And it kind of have a limp, but we're not pre, right? And at the end of the day, brethren, my mother's shoulder was slip out the whole time and she had got work and I pack them biscuits because school fare for pay and the youth them have to eat.
Wow.
Yeah, so the night held the shoulder with her, are you here when the bones select? And then you see she got so I was like,
she can't move it now. My God.
The shoulder slip out the whole time. At least more than a week. But she has show up at work every day and I get work in because she can't afford to take off. But so that's just one example of Precious and the commitment to making things happen in spite of what's going on, right? Because at them time the real people them shine, when time the thing get real and you're still at press and you have certain principles. Yeah. So, brethren, by the way, on to realize we're actually having this conversation like with our yard.
Yeah, that way I say. That's why we want it to be like that. That's the whole
purpose. For a second, I think about some of my, for a second, I'm thinking about friends of mine who might not understand some of what I'm saying right now.
Yeah.
That's totally okay. That's totally okay. And that's
so yeah. So yeah, that was the goal, and you finish school, and like I said, at that point you realize we need to get that job. And here's another powerful thing that is the KC thing. You see these guys were sit next to you, to my present boys. You see the youth will sit next to you, the youth will sit in front of you, and the youth will sit behind you. Recognize that they are your brothers, right? And the relationships that are being formed right now, you cannot manufacture it later. You cannot see a person and decide that you want it from them later. So recognize it, value it. But most importantly, as we say, iron sharpen iron, encourage your brother. Because that's what happened for us. If I were to even go back to basketball and other components, I can call names from the choir of guys who I'm still really close with, like Linval Duffus in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We grew up with Linval Duffus,
Duffus no Almantown, man.
Grew up in
Almantown, man. Yes,
right
man.
Across the road from him.
Right across the road.
Duffus had some, maybe a year or two on me or more. I don't even remember.
Man, we grew up with Linval,
like Gerald, not Gerald, Hector Hall, who he was like a senior man in the choir. You just the level of mentorship. Let's use the buzzword, right? 'Cause we didn't call it that in school, but senior students in the choir, senior guys in basketball, people like Peanuts, right? Clifton Lumsden, when them one day had set examples and lead out.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to the present boys, those people later on, because here's why I said that. I was about to tell you that the same Brandon, when I decided I need to find a job because I need to start earning because Precious,
Yeah.
right?
Need
Precious
help.
Max out.
Mm-hmm.
Precious Max out. I did the resume and I'm shopping around and yeah, Brandon mother says tell him to send the resume to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Easy.
You understand what I'm saying? And this is not a case of somebody who knows somebody. That's not enough. My brothers, my young
Come on
brothers,
now.
I'm talking
Tell
to you
them.
right now.
Yes.
It's not enough to know somebody who have access. You need to be ready. Because by this time I had my 6 subjects, including math and English. You see what I'm saying? Geography, chemistry, bio. I had the subjects. So you have to be ready when these people say, send me something. My resume was polished and I got the job.
Nice.
And I can say that proudly because
So
not only did I
where you started to work?
I'm going to tell you, not only did I get the job, I felt like I was one of the star boys at Mutual Security Bank at the time.
Yeah.
So I started out at Mutual Security Bank, Court Street. I think it's 65 Court Street, if the number is right. I might be off with the number, but Duke Street. I'm sorry, Duke Street. Duke Street. I was at that major branch in Duke Street, and I remember going in, and you have to learn every entry level position. And by the time I did my rounds, Michelle Democada, she was the head of the teller department. Geez, I'm trying to remember the lady who ran the internal department because they were the two, I would say, most influential, and it was a toss up. But not only did I go into internal and people would stop and listen to me count money to become head teller to then get transferred to Harborview because they needed a head teller out there, and then I became a proof officer, which led to me now starting to think computing because as the proof officer for Harborview branch, all the work would come to my desk. So I have to balance the branch's work.
Yeah.
And you didn't have computer per se. It was mainframe system. So you have an embossing machine who does like a ginormous calculator, calculate everything, debits and the credits and everything have to equal up and the balance need to net out. So then you start to see the technology and the math starts to come into play. And of course, that's where I met my wife, who is upstairs now.
So in regards to that story, Perry, and we heard from another KC old boy, and I've heard this in the streets, but I left Jamaica at the age of 17 and never really got much in the workforce. I only worked a year at tax office. But I always hear people that say, when you go in at the bank, I be a KC man, you see. And when I'm saying, you walk in the bank, the man say, when you're there back in those days, if you want to work as a KC man, just go in at the bank. As a KC man, most in at the bank for you get to work. So it's good to hear that story in regards to connecting to the banking as well as the science part of things. But let me add a little story to your story when it comes to choir, as you said that. My wife is Linval Duffus' cousin because their sister, their cousin, so his sister lives in Florida, North Florida. And when they were getting married, they invited us. As a matter of fact, whenever I'm staying in North Florida, that's the home we stay at. And when they were getting married, guess who was sing at the wedding? Linval. In I'm KC, yes, and I'm KC, old boy's tie, and I'm purple, and I him a sing, a bringing his sister as the person, and that was so good. I even have it on record, and I was like, Linval, you still do them thing, and the man so like, practicing man point, and him a catch keys, and him a everything. So big up yourself, Linval, wherever.
But yo, that's the thing with the choir now. When you bring out the full ensemble, it's not just present boys. You have old boys.
Somebody who interviewed recently said that as well. That I don't remember. I think they said some stalwart past teacher or something who died, and then the
Oh
choir
my
was going to
God.
sing at the person's funeral, and
Yeah.
them said the old boys them turn up,
Yes.
and them just synchronize
Yep.
easily, no
Yep.
practice,
Yep.
no nothing, and them just sing.
Yep.
So you realize you need to do something more. So that's where New York came in. And I landed in New York February, I think 94, February 94. And I went straight to York College. Catch this. Again, Fortis. I landed in New York. You didn't have the internet at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I will go, we're sure age now, but
Yeah. So may I show you? Yeah.
yeah. So landed in New York at the time, there is no internet to sign up for school. There is, when you reach New York, you have Mark Green in New York, KC man used to play basketball. So I have a little
Yep.
list of numbers. I
Numbers.
would call Mark Green. And Mark Green said, Perry, go down to York College and ask Miss Donaldson or Davidson. She was the head of, she was part of admissions office. And you go down and you wait and you ask for this lady. You say, Mark Green, welcome, man.
Yeah.
You get your little application package and you get what. Remember, I first time we touch foreign now, not as a athlete visiting and everything is being provided and set up. But now you're on your own and take the bus to the train to the bus, York College, and we apply and we got in. No, notice we got in, but you need to prove residency.
Yeah.
So then there is that, right? But here's the thing, what we leave out of KC. While you used to have this youth named Maki, we used to cut hair, end up owning a barbershop in Spanish Town. The word is that he was paying too much time cutting hair down at the back of the school, down at the nursery. But end up owning a barbershop and Maki just waiting to get my haircut. Remember going home and learning from the days of razor blade and comb.
Razor,
Where you
of
put the
course.
razor
Yep.
on the comb and
Yep.
the
Yep.
kind of way I get fade. And you see my
Yes.
fade gone all the way
Yeah.
down now. Smooth fade. So you learn to do a little barbering by now while me there KC father where, have other kids to deal with. You figure out you cut some hair, you can get all a $5 for your haircut. So now me no need lunch money from mother nor father.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we
no
leave out
clear.
that. But
Yeah.
watch what important now. Because you see, when you land in New York and you think you're going to go in a banking and you go to the first bank and them tell them can take you on a 20-hour per week. And you learn and you will get time as schedules allow and blah, blah, blah. Now, all the while in Jamaica, I never did barbering as a primary. It was always the thing you do on the
Yeah.
side.
On the
Your
side.
brethren
Yeah.
Hustling.
Yeah. You're bridging them.
People
Yeah.
like Delroy Campbell come from all the way across town, come at Dunny Park to get him haircut, right out of my gate, and others, right? Alton Brown, God rest his soul. When you decide that it look like the banking thing now go work a foreign, and I remember being in Long Island with my sisters and a couple guys come over at a party and they own a barbershop. For the first time in my life, even though I cut here for years at KC on the side and on weekends,
Yeah.
I am now working in a barber shop to pay the bills. And guess what? To go to school. So here we're going with that. Remember me tell us a precious show partner?
Yeah.
A partner may have to
If
throw
it's
a
that
party.
true too. Yes.
So may
Yes.
have to throw a partner and the partner draw not enough to pay for the whole year, but you can pay for the first semester. And there was a time when the banker was my sister. Donna.
She get little
Bless up
extra.
Donna for help with the transition living in the US, right? And Raymond, power couple. But Donna, you throw your partner with Donna, and Donna, no, don't give me the whole draw. Just give me enough. Just give me the school fee out type. And if a fraction, whatever fraction of the school fee left, just go and hold on upon that. Watch this now. You see if me, pull up the shutter for close. By now you're getting tight with the barber them and them not understand who this youth here. Because I first me come a foreign. Nobody no know me, at least that's what them think.
Yeah.
But it's when time he goes about me call couple Fortis, Pete drive all the way from the Bronx, come at the barber shop. Merrick Foster,
Yep.
come at barber
Yep.
shop. And the man them
Yep.
start telling the man them, yo, Perry Day in I
Yep.
place. Capo, come from Bronx, come at Queens, come get him haircut. I want them to there and see people pull up on a weight panda, new
Yeah.
youth, when them think nobody know.
Yeah.
Barbershop shot, right? Alton Brown, we are cut them on the ear from a touch. We are cut Alton Brown. I have single him out because we not just impasse our recently and that one the hard.
Yeah.
But we not just cut here. Him have him like enterprising thing and we do some like a business and business opportunities come up and we work with him and then we end up going into KCOBA together at the same time, me and him and Merrick, but we're going to get to that, right? But yeah, we cut here. We buy clipper when we only imagine owning one.
Owning, yep. One
now
way take off the whole blade.
May have every blade range and
yes,
yes man. And we are drop fade in at the barber shop and a cut we here and a pay with school fee. And some days, so you know, now you have to go figure out your schedule, your school, your class schedule, because you need for your barber shop just as much as you need for your learn.
Need for their school, yep.
Maybe more. So you figure out, say, all right, barber shop slope on a Tuesday. So you see any class them have on a Tuesday, whether it's 9 at night or 9 in the morning, me sign up for that class then, bridge. Maybe 6 at night, right? In the evening. Sign up for those classes. Try get as much classes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Because Thursday, Friday, Saturday, barbershop start rev up from Thursday.
Yeah.
Yes, man. So that's your college.
Oh,
your
I never know say cut here, Perry. All this time. Never hear that part of the story.
Yes,
So
man. And Bridget, we not normally show off or we not talk about ourselves, we not promote ourselves, but me prefer the word meticulous. Some people might say anal, because all of one strand of pass me fade, you know. Yes, man. Me line up off a balance, man.
Yeah, man.
So we call it, so we come from all the Mackey school. Mackey was like, that youth are just brilliant. And you try to be like all of Mackey. When all Tapper is another youth who come out of the same stable there. With Tapper, I think a Flatbush in there cut here up to the last time I know. So we have some real barbers who come out of the program too. And then the normal.
Yes, the stories can go on and on.
Yes, man. And the clock is ticking.
Right? So what we want to do to kind of get us down to the wire piece, and you've been dropping little nuggets throughout the actual session with the message to KC boys. This time we want to make it intentional. So we'd like you, as we wrap up, to actually wish KC 100-year celebration, right? And then tie all of those small notes that you were saying all into 2 to 3 sentences for the school body, boys, faculty, and especially, and we didn't get to that part of the story, but in the end part there, address the KC old boys and how, it's critical for them to get involved, how, we do some work and talk a little bit about the Douglas Forest building. So let's switch it up. Douglas Forest building first, because I don't want them to start Douglas Forest building first, then 100, happy KC 100, and then the short note, and then we wrap it up.
Wow. See, and you said Douglas Forest building as if it's a little thing.
That's right. That's what I wanted. Anyway, you want to start there.
It's a big structure and a 10-year project. 10-year project at least. Right? 10-year project at least. So that means we need to talk about joining the KINGSTON College Old Boys Association of New York, KCOBA USA Incorporated, right? I see a rep in the shirts. So
these are centennial shirts, though. Just to be clear, they're not New York shirts, but they come out of New York, because I know that New York produce a lot. Especially the centennial watches and the centennial rings. I saw one on your Facebook page the other day, and I say, I have to get the ring. It had 100 on the top. It had the 1925 to 20.
This logo, it had the logo.
Yes. And then on the other end, you can put your year. Yes. So that's the one I'm interested in.
And your name.
Yes.
You can put your name, the year in the 4-digit letter. See, we spend too much time in the early days because that's a pair that ring and the
go into that
pair.
We need to, because of the centennial. We have time, man. Go into that. This is all good stuff. Go into Douglas Forest and the centennial stuff.
So going to Douglas Forest, we have to go into KCOBA, right? And wow, that's like a whole the last since 2009, 2008 to present. It's all about giving back to Kingston College. And it really started with Merrick again, bona fide. We argue a lot and the brethren thing, and it's just real. Like I'm a bona fide.
Yeah.
But the story started with him, Alton Brown, and Earl Gordon joining the KC Old Boys Association in New York. And I remember him, by the way, I moved to South Jersey, worked with him. So we're in the Philly area now. That job, we did a 2-year, I think we did 2 year or 1 year with that. Then he went on to start his own business. I went on to University of Penn as a network engineer for the Center for Technology Transfer. But Merrick went. I would go to the dinners because I used to live in New York, right? We've said that. So I would go up and spend the weekend in New York, go to the old boys dinner, as it was at the time, but just go mind my own business and shoot the breeze with some colleagues, you know. I remember one year they were honoring Michael Holding and, you know, fanfare when you see a celebrity Fortis and
like
so
that,
on and so. But I was normally like that dial back guy just observing, right? Merrick, my high energy brethren. And I remember they joined the association, came back and was just gloating about it. He told me about it before doing it, but I didn't know when. And he came back, I was gloating about it. Like, brethren, you joined KCOBA after you tell me about it and you don't tell me when you did so. That said, by the October, November, that was July, by the October, November, they invite me to a board. He made that case to Robert Kelly, my immediate past president, God rest his soul. Like you talk about sacrifice and commitment to Mission Fortis, Robert Kelly. But brethren, we went up there for the meeting because I used to go back and forth to New York, so it wasn't a thing, right? Went up there for the meeting. I ended up get appointed to the board, not by election, but by finishing somebody's term who was unavailable, became unavailable. Yeah. And I went from becoming a director that year to the vice president the next year to the president the other year.
Yeah.
And I was president of KCOBA from 2010 or 2011. Yeah, 2011, because I finished a term 2009, 2010. Right. So 2011, I became president. And I was president up until 2021.
Yep.
And I am still doing the work. And I still have people calling me president when they see me Prezi, especially if you're at Dean Street, who's a KC still a win. Shout out to Dean Street.
Yep.
Right? But that team, when Merrick, Alton, and Earl Gordon joined, and I came in right, a couple months afterwards. And Robert Kelly, I had just finished Wharton, did a business. I stopped at so now, guess what? You find yourself at the University of Penn. You remember when you were graduating undergrad and you realize this is not enough. It's almost like you realize how much more you don't know that you know. Now that you learn you learn how to learn some more, you realize how much you don't know.
You don't know,
I remember sitting in my York College graduation realizing this can't be it, but the partner job and the barbershop thing now gonna do it.
Yeah.
You enter my job at University of Penn and signing up with Wharton. So with the idea that I was gonna do MBA, but dial it back and left with a certificate. After I finished that and doing the KC stuff, I was like, Kelly, letterhead. Because I did a marketing class, love marketing. So, Kelly, where's the letterhead? What is this? So I start to rebrand and package, and I'm like, there's a KC logo, but you're not KC. You're KCOBA. You can't have KC logo as KCOBA. It might be central to who you are and why you are, so we wrapped that little circle thing around it.
Yeah.
That was a Perry nitpicking thing. And you create a separate logo. And I'm grateful that the entire system took it on because all the chapters now have it.
Yep.
And this is not showcasing, this is just talking about what happened. So
part of the goal
there was this idea that because so the qualification is to be an old boy, it's to be having gone to Casey, right? And I remember us putting out an article in the Gleaner to say you don't have to, because there was this misconception. My first old boy, and I love to call his name in this context, the first old boy I dealt with, right? If you notice the conversation and the speaking, it's changed now, right? So the first old boy that I remember engaging with as a student was Dr. Ivan Nugent,
Oh,
Florida.
yes.
You know
Yes.
Ivan
Yeah,
Nugent.
man, Iva.
And I remember when
Yes,
he came
man.
back to Jamaica and he was managing the basketball program, and he was that I was a student playing, and this was this old boy from Florida, but he's doctor. So then there's this idea that, and you remember being down there after football practice when George T and they had the big names will come down and shoot in the breeze and talk in the big cars that come down. So the idea that I needed to be one of those big guys to become an old boy,
And to
a,
contribute.
a old boy that's
Yes.
giving back.
Yes.
That
Started
became
through Dr.
that
Nugent.
became a profile that I needed to address.
Yeah.
So I remember working with Robert Kelly, and we put out an article in the Gleaner. We say you don't have to be lawyer, doctor, Indian
Indian
chief
chief.
to give back. You just need to have walked the hallowed halls of
Yes.
Kingston College.
Yes.
That's it. No matter where you are in your current life stage, no matter where you are in your current station, you can give back. It could be mentoring a student. It could be a wide range of things. Or you could write a big check. We'll always take that because that can help that many more
Many
students,
way.
right?
Yep.
But if you don't have the check, right, you might have a skill set that the school can use. And I'm saying to you and to my old boys who might be watching this right now, if you're constantly out there wondering or thinking that you're not in a position to give back because, boy, things tight and my barely can make ends meet, that's not what it's about.
Right.
And I would always tell old boys who talk to me about giving back when we have a campaign or we have a fundraising effort underway. And they would say, boy, Perry, listen, or somebody, I remember some of them would put me on the spot and ask me for a number. And I'm looking dead at the camera right now. And I'm going to quote Churchill Nita. Churchill Nita will tell you that don't worry about what the other boys are doing.
Yeah.
Do what you can. Give what you can.
Yeah, put in
And
your
my
time.
line that I normally use when a donor would say, Perry, so how much? I would say you and only know your heart to pocket ratio. So let your heart to pocket ratio determine what you do. Because your heart might say, give $10,000 or $100,000. And if you're just focusing on your heart, you might tell me, boy, I can't get no money, you know. Or if you're thinking about Pete Kennedy, who is author and wrote book and can do whatever he does, and you might feel like, boy, anything me might come up with might seem embarrassing. No, it's not. It's hard to pocket ratio. So your heart might be 100,000, but your pocket of $100 synergy, give the $100.
Yeah.
$0, give off your time. There's a student right now who could use somebody to pay 1 extra ounce of attention to them, encourage them, and promote the idea of hard work and achieving their goals. There's that person. And sorry, I went off camera there, but
No, but you're absolutely
that's
right.
the thing. That's the
Yes, sir.
essence of it, you know.
Yes.
That's it. I got so fired up doing this work. Brethren, this is gonna go on record now, but I've said it in smaller spaces. But while I was doing the work, remember I told you I was starting to think about MBA. Because of the work I was doing, because of the sacrifice and the effort that I see a man like a Robert Kelly put in. And somehow, even though we not come from with money there, we never pick up the mindset of getting rich. Now, obviously, we would like to have some money, right?
Yes.
But the idea that I chart a course just to make money wasn't my thing, because I can't sell Perry. But I love marketing, but I love social cause. So here's what happened. I matriculated to a master's degree in nonprofit leadership.
Yeah.
Now, who would have do that? just because you're
Yeah.
inspired
Fire.
by
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
little giving that you're doing with
Yeah.
Mission Fortis.
Yeah.
But the energy was real. And then you have donors. You have some donors. I'm gonna pay tribute to Hayley Lee Anderson. That's the name of a scholarship
Yep.
for his mom who passed away, and he liked to stay anonymous. So I just want to shout out the name of the scholarship. But when you start meeting people like that, and you realize that every old boy that we know, I remember going to Atlanta where we used to do Fortis link up. Me and my brethren were graduated together. I was still in touch. And I used to print shirts. So it's not even I was doing shirts before I come to KCOBA. We used to do shirts, and every Sunday evening after the weekend, Sunday evening after the whole family dispersed and the wives and the ladies and the kids gone back inside from Ian Mick's house, Roger Edwards, Roderick Ellis, and others, Dwayne Richards and them. When everybody receded to the living room and the guys, just the KCO boys outside, sipping and chilling, the conversation and the domino is finished and all that. The conversation always come around to, boy, one day you don't know what I like for X for KC. I've been in so many conversations where that it always end with an ambition to do something, to give back something, to do something sometimes even greater than the present capacity. But the mind is always there to do it. And I'm saying, let's leverage that. We have KCOBA chapters all over the globe, right? From the UK to Toronto to New York to Georgia to Florida and Tampa, Florida to Jamaica. And their mission is Kingston College. And their members are you, the guy who went to Kingston College, who walked the hallowed halls. So that is real. So that's I can go off on this whole topic here, but the Douglas Forest Building Project was I call it I was challenged. I was issued a challenge, rather. What we started out wanting to do was, again, Alton Brown went to Jamaica. Nothing happened with the work I did at KCOBA without Alton Brown right there.
Yeah.
Doing the math, telling me doing the break-even analysis, the strategy to employ to max return and effort, right? But where was I going? So
Alton Brown with the help of the
Douglas Forest Building Project.
Yeah.
Douglas Forest Building Project. Alton Brown went to Jamaica, took some pictures. The pictures came back. Facebook was new at the time. I created KCOBA USA. And brethren, not to digress too far, but I would literally stay up many nights and just randomly search for people on Facebook who have Kingston College in their profile and Jamaica. Because there's also a Kingston College.
Yes, up here. Yep.
Actual college.
Yep. I figured out searching for KC that too.
Yeah, I would look for people with Kingston College in their profile and Jamaica, and I would friend them randomly. And I created the KCOBA group, and I would add them over time to the group, and I would tell them until the group was private for a while, till when we hit 500, I remember opening up the group, right? So that's the Facebook thing. Alton came back from Jamaica, and he was a Facebook man too. Put up some pictures on Facebook. And the goal was always this. We're not here to bash Kingston College. We're here to expose the need, make the case for support for Kingston College. And when you get involved in this conversation with us, it's not to bash the government, it's not to bash the school leadership, it's to see how you can make a difference. So when he did that those pictures, people start to see broken shelves in a library, empty shelves in a library, and wonder, wait a minute, now that you live abroad and you understand how fundamental a library, functioning library is to even your community based by your zip code, obviously, right? Because the issues are here, so let's be real with that.
Yes.
But Alton Brown, we have the pictures, people start talking about, and we set out to affect the library at Melbourne specifically. I remember doing this. We did the assessment. We got facilitation from the school. This was before Myrie, Principal Myrie, that is. And I remember we needed $50,000. The goal was to overhaul the library. We figured this is the day of the internet. We needed to extend the brick and mortar capacity of the library and get online school resources so kids can look up stuff and not just go to the librarian to find something in some encyclopedia online, but the kid can look up something. You could Google something, for crying out loud. By that time, Google was emerging or was there. I don't remember the timeline with Google there, but you could search online. It was probably before Google. You could search online. And then Google came along during the time. But the idea was that you don't need to line up and go to the librarian, and the librarian don't need to have to look up everything that you need. What about the library that we come to appreciate that have a multimedia section where you have computers, where you and or I could walk up to a computer and just search for something.
Just log in,
So that was the goal. $50,000 we needed. I remember going to this donor in particular who I had just met. This is 2011. I just became president. No, it started before I became president. But the man promised, the man said, okay, I'll give you 10,000. My man need 50,000, promised 10. And the story was that his word is his word is money. You can count on him. So I wasn't worried about getting the check. Perry wouldn't do that anymore, but that's another story, right? That's a learn. When the energy is real and the energy is high, if you can get the check, then get it then. Don't forget that.
Yes.
Don't forget that.
Learn that from Abley too.
The following year, he said to me, we better meet. By now, we start to meet annually. We communicate a lot, and we meet again that following summer. And he said, so what are you trying to do? And I laid out to him, and the library. He said, but so $50,000 you would sort out the library. I said to me, so what if I give you $50,000? Library done, right? I'm like, what? That would be awesome. Like me just get excited. And I was like, so what if I tell you that, how about this? I'm going to give you the $50,000. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to expand your thinking and come up with something more. And I'll help you raise the money for it. That's what he said to me. Now, I have to deliver on that. Remember, we passed the stage with asthma. So we now back down.
Yes, right. Of course. See all that preparation line up for this.
Brethren, it was a teacher at KC. I'm not even going to call her name. She might not, I don't have approval to call her name, but it was a teacher at KC who helped me draft the case for support document. She started it. She was a PhD candidate at the time, or maybe it was EDD candidate, and I hope she ever get to see this. None of this, the Douglas Forest building that is there right now, it's real, it's there.
Just send it go gear when we drop it, man.
The principal officer that for you was instrumental in making that happen. In making that happen. So with that said, we came back to him. I have a case for support document. Myrie just started KC. They just appoint this new star educator, administrator who with corporate experience to run Kingston College, the great enterprise. Because when we were looking for principal, we weren't looking for somebody academically inclined with administrative training. We're looking for somebody to run an enterprise. Literally, they use those words because the brand was real. And I remember when he started, and to his credit, I have a lot of respect for him and love for him.
Yes.
We've become close as feel like he's a brethren of mine. But then he's the principal of the school, so he's like, principal, and you know what I said? A good thing we can't get detention or suspension, right? But Principal Myrie started KC, and I remember calling him, and he was very open access to him. He would share out his number to people who are interested, especially if you're an old boy, president or something. Called him. So let me try to keep things shorter now. Called him. He took the call. And welcome, Mr. Principal. Glad you're. But I've been working on this project. Project case for support, ready to go. I understand the school have a development plan prior to him. I would like an updated version to it. And he didn't even say, I just started, let me get, get my feet under me for a little bit. And he was like, okay, I'm going to work on it, Perry. Nice to meet you. Within a month, I got the school development plan.
Yeah.
And I looked through the plan, literally looked through the plan. I saw I remember now I'm tech, right? So I wanted, and by now I'm working at the University of Penn. I'm not in the school side of things, I'm in the business side of things,
Yeah.
but we understand
Yeah. And
technology.
yeah.
And there was a line item for computer labs. Prior to that, I had experience with them having limitations with giving students, enough students, access to computer science and information systems as a primary class to do CSEC. By then, I thought that should have been fundamental and a requirement along with math and English. And I still believe that today. Any kind of formal training in tech should be standard. It should be part of the requirement for school leavers these days. And even more so in 2012 when we were having this conversation. Long and short of the story is he sent me the document. We picked computer. We saw professional development for teachers. We always have a thing for the teachers.
Yep.
Because
I
teaching
remember you and I
the
talked about that. Yep.
and to quote him, the teaching and learning environment, you cannot not talk about the teachers. You can't just focus on the students, right? It's the classroom, it's everything, it's the resources, and it's definitely the teachers. So we line item, professional development, computing, and then we're like, wait, computer labs, do we have space for computer labs? Oh no, those labs, they are part of there's a program in Jamaica where we call the e-learning lab. That's a
Okay.
collaboration with
Yeah.
government and a private entity. So
Yeah.
that's not really us to count. So there was another line item, completion of the Douglas Forest building.
Yeah.
So
That line item for the Douglas Forest
so we
building.
pick up the line item because now the line foot at the truth of the matter is, brethren, that line item was literally a means to an end. It wasn't about the great Douglas Forest, and sorry, no air quote, the
Yeah, man.
great Douglas
Yeah.
Forest,
Yeah.
because I've had the benefit of being in a class, being in class with them learning French. It wasn't that made it stick out to us. It was the need for real estate. Real estate so we could put computer labs.
Yes.
Real estate so we could, now we zoomed out, remember? We were focusing on the library at Melbourne.
Yes.
Now
Yes.
we're thinking at the library
Library.
system of Kingston College, Melbourne and North Street. This building at North Street was going to provide, the adding new floors is going to provide real estate for an expanded library with multimedia capabilities, extending the brick and mortar capacity. Yes? So that became the real reason. But we'll take the fact that a lot of guys saw Douglas Forest's name
Yes.
and want to be part of the project.
Yes. Yes.
And that's also a brilliant thing, because one of the most proudest thing I posted recently was I was in Jamaica this January. The company, Innovative Signs, they had just put up the signage on the front, and I was gonna see it with the naked eyes, not just the pictures from Lennox at Innovative Signs, but I was gonna see it in person. And then I walk in the building and I get to take the elevator. This didn't exist, Bridget. I was like a kid in a candy shop, excited at what when we pool our resources together, when you're crazy as Perry and you will not let it go. Notice, it's 2012. I was looking at the sign going up in January of 2005, but to God be the glory. 3 years ago, Mary had to move to the first floor because we needed the space on the ground. The third floor because we needed the space on the first floor, our AKA ground floor, right? So the idea that, and 3 years ago, we had CSEC, because that was a mandate by Caribbean Examination Council that exams are now going to go online. Schools needed to build capacity. They needed real estate to put, and they needed computers, because everybody's going to take some part of some element of the exam is going to be online. KC got it just in time. I think we missed the first year when they went electronic, but as it was, while we're still in New York, We got a donation. Clive Davidson, God bless you, brother. He had a sister in, and forgive me, I forget her name. She's with the UN. They got some computers. We got a good batch out of it,
Yes,
and
I heard of
turns
that.
out that shipment turned out to be a blessing, because when Myri needed to rev up
Yep,
for
yep, yep, yep.
building design, that is what we call TD now, um, because that went to AutoCAD, and Fine Arts went to Photoshop. And if you know those two applications, they are resource.
Yep.
They're heavy on resource requirements. So you need, it can't be the standard processor and the standard, but they had enough right on time to put together and have students sit in front of computers, learn, and do their exams that year.
Wow. Wow. Perry, I
So
can tell you.
this
I can
this
Perry, I can tell you, right? I say I will have permanent cheeks after these podcasts because the stories get richer and richer and richer and richer. But we want to get to the celebration because I believe that we have to orchestrate something else, Marlon, and see if we can get Perry back on because there's some other things we need to talk about.
Come
And
on, listen, we haven't touched
you
a lot,
understand?
Bridget.
Exactly, because I can see you hop skipping some of the stories just to get it there. But just for time's sake, right? And
Yeah,
for the
man.
people, and this is how rich it is. Let's get to the KC 100 celebration. Let's wish KC 100 happy birthday celebration. And then I would say just bring all of those notes into about 2 to 3 short sentences for the student body, the faculty. You've already addressed the KC old boy, so let's leave that part out. And then we wrap it up and we set up something else for Perry come again.
And that's their word, man. So listen, Kingston College, 1925, colonial Jamaica. We cannot tell that story and leave out colonial Jamaica. It's important to say colonial Jamaica because Bishop Gibson, who got that scholarship, right? And no disrespect to my brothers across the street, but I kind of leave that out because, yeah, he got the scholarship, and I'm not going to leave it out today. He got the scholarship to George's. And if I am reading some of the historians' work,
Yeah.
the 5 traditional high school at the time, they maybe they were just institutions of their time, right? It was colonial Jamaica, so
Yeah.
high color, money, white, right? Affluent, right? That's who got into those schools. So when a dark skinned little youth like Bishop Gibson, that's the time he was just little Percival
Mhm.
Gibson, yeah?
Yep. Yep.
When he went in and became the straight A students, the straight A student, um, when he left top of his class and went to not to become a lawyer, doctor, the big titles where you get money and profile, but he began to serve and become fisher of men, as the Bible said, join the church, right? That's a big deal. So here's a secret, people. People wonder why KC is successful and them little youth just a bossy. And some people call we cultish. We're the praying founder.
Oh,
God
come on.
have our back. It's been God.
From
You understand what I'm saying?
1925.
The mission of Bishop Gibson, if you look at some of his work and his writings, The Fiery Servant, the work in downtown Kingston, the work in lifting up people, not KC youths, people, creating this institution, getting chills, brethren, creating this institution that I get to attend with a simple goal to give access